Hello everyone, it's a tiny baby fishy here. Took a little time off for some life stuff, but we are back again today to have a look at, as always, today's Langle. Um, you can play it yourself at langle.uk. It's a good fun game if you're into this sort of thing. One feature that I noticed today, which I didn't notice previously, is you can actually get it to read out the text for you.
agus cuaineann ina níos agus ina gcearta. Tá buan rééisúin agus an chuintse.
That's pretty cool. So if you aren't familiar with a script, but you are maybe familiar with the sounds of a language, you've got a chance of being able to guess it from hearing it. Now, this is Irish, straight off the bat. How can I tell? There's a few things. Okay, so words starting with MH, I'm going to use the pen for this. Words starting with MH, like this here. With BH, like this here. These are what's known as initial consonant mutations, which is something that you see in Celtic languages pretty much exclusively. You'll see them in Welsh, you'll see them in Irish, and I believe you'll also see them in Scottish, Gaeilge, and probably also Manx as well, but I don't really know Manx. Maybe Cornish. Anyway, there are a couple other things. This GC at the start of a word here, which is pronounced like a G, but it's not a G. And then, what else can you see here? Maybe long strings of vowels like this, and that would be pronounced, I believe, Dina. Maybe Dinya. And that's because of spelling rule in Irish. People always talk about Irish spelling as being really difficult to understand because there are letters going everywhere, and a lot of them are silent. But there is a very useful spelling rule in Irish, which is broad with broad and slender with slender, and that's because all consonants have got a broad form, which is said with the back of the tongue lowered, it's velarized, and a slender form, which is said with the back of the tongue raised, it's palatalized. And rather than have a different letter for each of these to be able to tell which is which, they instead will put a broad sound letter either side of a broad consonant, or a slender sound letter either side of a slender consonant, so that you'll know whether it's a broad or a slender version of the consonant that you should be pronouncing. So that explains all of the silent letters, but this here, it's going to be called Irish in here. So Irish, we'll send that off, and I expect this to be a whole in one. And it is. So let's move right along to level 2. Interesting. Okay. So here we can really see, and you can't get it to read out some of them. Interesting. So this one you can't get it to read out. But this is, it makes it much clearer if you're a native English speaker what the source text is here, the United Nations Declaration of Human Rights, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, I'm sorry. It took me a second to get there. Now this is quite clearly a language that is strongly based on English. It is what we would call a pidgin language. Although it may no longer be a pidgin. Once a pidgin language, so pidgin language is a contact language that starts when two people who speak different languages come into contact, and they usually will adopt something with some of the grammar forms of each language, some of the words from each language. They often pop up as trade languages, and they are used just to facilitate communication between two groups of people who speak different languages. Once you reach the point where a language, a pidgin that is spoken by somebody as their native language, as their first language from birth, that's the definition I learned anyway, it becomes what's known as a Creole language. That name is maybe not great, given the history of the word Creole, but it's the name that we've got for right now. I haven't really seen any. I'd be interested to know, actually. Let me know if there are any alternatives to that term. Because I would be interested to know. But all of that said, let's see, every human being named and born free and aimed equal for dignity and the rights where we get. As human beings, God come give us better sense where we detect, think well, Well and better mind's sake, for this we must treat each other like brother and sister. Um, One of the things that stands out right away to me is this word here, way. Um, I can't give you a good definition for this word because I don't know one. But I can tell you that uh, it's used in Nigerian Pidgin. Um, you may have heard the word Wagwan, which was adopted into MLE, Multicultural London English, the sort of youth slang that popped up through a fusion of different cultural influences, and there's pretty strong influence in like the UK hip hop sort of grime and drill um, communities. Um, Another form of this, rather than wagwan, is wetinagwan. What thing is going on? Um, and that's just another way to ask how you're going, but that comes from Nigerian Pidgin. And I don't think, I mean, the only other pigeon that might actually be on here is Tokpisin, right? Yeah, Tokpisin is here, but this is not Tokpisin. And I could get into why in just a moment, but let's just go down to, here we go, Nigerian Pigeon. There should be a hole in one as well. Tokpisin has a few different sort of things to it. In particular, some of the words would be pronounced in different ways because they are a fusion of English with languages spoken in Papua New Guinea, which have got different phonologies and vocabularies to those spoken in Nigeria. Um, Another thing that I know offhand is that Tokpisin makes ample use of the word blong um, as a sort of preposition come possessive marker. It's a very multifunctional word. It's a really great word, blong. Um, but not seeing that in this text here leans me away from Tokpisin. And finally, we make our way to level 3. And as ever, I look at this and I go, let's try and pick out some things here. So this is clearly not an agglutinative language. So you can categorize languages, or you can kind of split them up into groups based on whether they fuse things together and express meaning with affixes, prefixes, suffixes, infixes, in some cases circumfixes, or they can be described as isolating. And it's a spectrum. It runs from like fully isolating to fully agglutinative. The common examples people give of an agglutinative language are things like Finnish and Hungarian. They tend to do things, Turkish as well, they tend to do things by sticking on lots of affixes. Common examples given of isolating languages are things like Chinese, which basically doesn't do suffixation at all. I mean, they do have some, but not many. English is commonly cited as one, although we do have a couple of derivational affixes and morphological affixes, like saying walk to walked, that ed, that's a suffix. But we certainly don't fuse things together to the extent of encoding the meaning of an entire sentence in one word, which you may see in some languages. It goes to really big extremes. The ones I'm most familiar with are like Native American languages from like the Salishan family, I believe, and maybe the Algonquin family. I think Inuktitut is another example. They tend to combine things so that you can express what would be a whole sentence in English in potentially one word in these languages. And something that you'll find as you get deeper into linguistics is that I put word in quotes here because there's not really a great definition for what a word is, which seems strange because, you would think naively that linguistics is the study of words, but there you are. So having waffled about things that are not very relevant for a while, I think the point that I was making is that this language looks fairly isolating. It's not an agglutinative language. So it takes us away from places like North America to some extent. And there are some things here that make me think of Africa. Something like, let's see, words starting with nu, nuane, this gu in the middle, ugu, niere. These all feel like sort of aerial features of some of the languages of Africa to me. In particular, I suppose it could be. I'm struggling to think of the name of that language family. Is that Niger-Congo language family? I think so. Anyway, the language family that has things like Swahili. Um, let's see. Let's clear this out. Now, I don't think this is Swahili. And it's definitely not a language that's got click consonants like Kosa. I won't try to make a click consonant. We've got some interesting things here. We've got dots under some of the vowels here, or, and we see them without dots in other places, so I wonder what that indicates. We also see here in a couple of places N apostrophe, like obi. I don't think that's going to be a glottal stop. I wonder if that does indicate a click. Maybe this has just got a very small inventory of clicks, and this is like obi and ohere. Could be. It'd be good if we could have it read out, but that option is not available for the harder difficulties. So let's have a look here. We're thinking, okay, it's definitely not like Afrikaans. Where's Ibibio? Let's give that a shot. I don't think it'll be correct, but it'll get us. We're very, very close with Ibibio. Interesting. So it's got to be something quite nearby to Ibibio. There's going to be a small cut here. I am being interrupted. Alright, so sorry about that. Got a quick phone call. So where were we? Here we go, yes, Ibibio. So that puts us in southern Nigeria. And I guess close to that, Yoruba is close to that. It's also spoken in Nigeria, but this doesn't look like Yoruba. Idoma? Edo? Which ones of those are on the list here? Let's have a little squiz. And further west you've got Fon, but since we're 99%, I don't think this is Fon. It could be. Edo is not here. Okay. It is Idoma. And Igbo. Yeah, Idoma is here. Let's give that a bell. Still very, very close. Okay. Since we're thinking it's not Yoruba, let's give Fon a go. That seems to be geographically next closest, I guess. I suppose that's Fon B. Yeah, further away, like I thought. Hausa looks too much like Yoruba. I don't think it's Hausa. Yoruba, Igbo. Igbo? Maybe. I don't think so, but let's give it a bell. Igbo. It is Igbo. Alrighty. So we just happen to be on Nigeria, which I've been reading about lately anyway, which worked out well for me. So for once we actually managed to solve level 3. Huge success. And a little bit of a focus on Nigeria today with levels 2 and 3 both coming from Nigeria. So that'll do us for Langle today, and I will see you for the Langle later.